Championship. Trainers during the latter part of her career included Mark Kesmadel, Paul Fraley, and Joshua Green. In the fall of 2017, Winback Farms purchased Chansey Lady to add to their broodmare band. In March of 2018, she delivered her fourth foal, a colt by Sweet Lou, named Best Chance.
Accepting on behalf of Chansey Lady is going to be Larry Drysdale of Winback Farms, and Kathy Wade-Vlar, chair of the Standardbred Election Committee, is making the presentation.
Thank you very much. For some of you that don't know, my name is Pat Woods, and I'm the new Larry Drysdale, as you might call it. I've taken over for Larry as his deserving retirement from Winback Farms of Canada. From Chansey Lady and Winback Farms, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees tonight. It is my privilege to accept this honor on behalf of Chansey Lady. The owners, trainers, caretakers, and breeders of this mare could not be more proud of her accomplishments. Although she was not big in size, she raced like she was every time she hit the track. Always a fierce competitor. She is enjoying a much quieter life now, being a mom and grazing on the lush Maryland pastures of Winback Farms. She has a Sweet Lou colt on her side named Best Chance and is in foal to American Ideal. She will enjoy her deserving retirement and live out her days at Winback Farms. Thank you very much for honoring this great Canadian Hall of Fame mare. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, and congratulations. Okay, we're well underway tonight, but we are going to take a quick break right now. Jim will be back in a few moments to honor this year's legends. But right now, the soup course will be served, and we'll be back in a few moments.
Turn our attention now to our two legends for this evening. And from our distant past, the legends category continues to provide the Hall of Fame with an opportunity to honor the people and horses that have contributed to our sport dating back at least 50 years. This evening, we formally recognize two superlative legends who joined the Hall in a special ceremony this spring in the Hall of Fame. And they were both great Canadians, and they were both great pioneers. So let's look at them individually, and then we'll see them collectively on the screen. The late Frank McMahon helped open up Western Canada. He introduced to the country and to the world the vast natural resources there. Not only that, Frank helped foster racing in the provinces and beyond. And he established the first major racing stable in Western Canada. Hector Cloutier Sr. also promoted Canada's natural resources and was a great pioneer. He was the lumber king of the Ottawa Valley, where he also established his very successful Northwood stable. Hector Cloutier Sr. also promoted racing while serving as an industry executive. Two phenomenal pioneers, two phenomenal legends. Let's go back and take a look at these incredible people.
Born in Petawawa, February 1st, 1916, Hector Cloutier Sr. began working full-time for his father's logging company in the Ottawa Valley at age 12, and by 14 was running his own operation. Known as the Lumber King of the Ottawa Valley, his involvement in the family lumber business continued until his death in 2003. He entered the standardbred racing industry in 1952. Some of his most noted races included Barney Diplomat, purchased in 1953 for the then staggering amount of $10,000 and trained by Hall of Famer Keith Waples, as well as JJ's Metro, who won purses totaling $350,000. Cloutier established Northwood Stables and nearby Northwood Hotel in the Pembroke, Ontario area. A breeding operation began soon after with the first Northwood bred foal registered in 1959, eventually expanding to include 40 broodmares and 3 stallions, Mr. Dean, Mighty Billy, and Macduff. Northwood horses frequently appeared in race programs throughout Ontario, Quebec, New York, and New Jersey, often driven by Keith Waples for stakes races. Hector eventually became involved in racing industry associations, sitting on the board of the Canadian Trotting Association, the Canadian Standardbred Horse Society, and the Ontario Harness Horse Association. He was considered one of the founding fathers of organized horsemen in Ontario, helping to negotiate contracts enabling horsemen to make a career in the racing business. Cloutier was recruited by the Quebec-based United Harness Horsemen's Association, became the organization's president, and was soon thrust into contract negotiations with the powerful Jean-Louis Levesque, owner of Montreal's Blue Bonnets Raceway, to resolve a horseman's strike over purses. An advocate of stake races for young horses in Ontario, Cloutier was instrumental in starting discussions for what would become the Ontario Sire Stakes program. Time magazine called Frank McMahon the man who did the most to open up Northwest Canada's wilderness and convinced oilmen of its treasures. He was also a major contributor to thoroughbred horse racing in Canada, and his was the first major stable in Western Canada. Born in the village of Moy in British Columbia's East Kootenays, McMahon was the son of a hard rock miner. A founding member of the Jockey Club of Canada, McMahon had early racing success as a partner in Alberta ranches when Royal Serenade won the 1953 Hollywood Gold Cup. Other stakes wins across Western Canada included the 1966 British Columbia Derby at Vancouver's Exhibition Park and the 1970 Canadian Derby at Northlands Park in Edmonton. McMahon, in partnership with Calgary newspaper publisher and Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame member Max Bell, won the Queen's Plate with Merger in 1968.
And Merger is fighting. Big Blunder and Merger head and head as Rulabille comes up third. Merger is coming on with Big Blunder and Merger gets it with Big Blunder.
Bell and McMahon had earlier partnered with singer Bing Crosby, who he met while attending Washington State's Gonzaga University in ownership of Meadow Court, winner of the Irish Derby and King George VI and Queen Elizabeth Stakes.
Because Meadow Court is holding Tortorini. Tortorini trying to get on top of him, but he won't do it. Meadow Court's the winner.
In 1969, McMahon's chestnut colt, Majestic Prince, trained by Hall of Famer John Longden, won the Kentucky Derby and Preakness Stakes. An injury ended the colt's chance at a Triple Crown. Majestic Prince was inducted into the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame in 1988. In 1970, a son of Majestic Prince, later named Crowned Prince, was purchased at auction in Kentucky for $500,000 by McMahon, who also co-bred the colt with Leslie Combs II. Crowned Prince raced in England, becoming the champion 2-year-old colt in 1971 after winning the Dewhurst and Champagne Stakes. Frank McMahon passed away May 20th, 1986, in Hamilton, Bermuda.
Well, what a tremendous legacy, and we remember fondly and welcome with great pride the late Frank McMahon and Hector Cloutier Sr. Now, traveling a long way to be with us all the way from the Ottawa Valley is Hector Cloutier Jr. Hector, would you please identify yourself? Stand up. Take a look at, stand up, Hector. There he is. And Hector spoke so beautifully of his father at the ceremony in the spring, and we revisit it with pride. Congratulations, Hector, and thanks for being here. Great.
Our next inductee tonight has covered both breeds extensively, and his sharply focused lens has produced evocative images that have earned him numerous accolades, including 7 Sovereign Awards and an Eclipse Award. The Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame, proud to induct Dave Landry.
Toronto native Dave Landry's childhood trips to Greenwood and Woodbine with his father and brother, 2014 Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame jockey inductee Rob Landry, began a lifelong fascination with horse racing. Purchasing his first camera at age 16 and initially shooting high school sports as well as the occasional horse race, Dave turned that childhood fascination into an award-winning career, photographing some of the sport's greatest equine and human athletes. Landry, now a resident of Burlington, Ontario, is equally comfortable shooting standardbreds and thoroughbreds. His ability to capture emotion between horse and human has earned numerous awards, including 7 Sovereign Awards, an Eclipse Award, an International Media Award, a Horse Publications of America Award, and a George Smallsreed Award. In the late 1990s, a call from Canadian sportsman editor Dave Briggs resulted in Landry joining the long-running publication, giving him the opportunity to photograph iconic moments in harness racing throughout North America. Known for his discerning eye, understanding of conformation, and attention to detail, Dave continues to be in high demand for projects with countless breeding farms and racing industry-related businesses. Landry also believes in generously giving back to the industry he loves, providing his photography services for many worthwhile promotional and fundraising projects.
Apparently a very popular recipient. Congratulations, great guy, and another great guy to make the presentation, Dave Briggs, who was recently inducted into the Harness Racing Hall of Fame in Goshen to make the presentation.
It's amazing. Got to put my eyes on here. I've been thinking about this for months since I got the call. It's still hard to believe that I'm being placed in this company. A lot of people have given me a hard time about some of the articles and stuff that have been done where I'm basically saying I'm not worthy and you know, but I think I'm getting over that now. It's a privilege and an honor, and no doubt, I guess this is probably the pinnacle of my career. It's such a great moment for me. Wow, pretty awesome. I see many friends and supporters out here this evening, and as I said, initially I had doubts, but you know, the idea has really grown on me to be in here. And recently, at our cottage, we showed up to the cottage and we got to the dock with the boat. And upon arriving, I said to my wife, just kidding around a little bit, that if she played her cards right, that she might be sleeping with a Hall of Famer that night. And immediately, my brother-in-law promptly asked, "Oh, is Sandy Hawley coming?" So anyhow, I thought that was quite funny. So I guess I should get on with my official speech. I wish to thank everybody that are responsible for me being up here tonight. I'd like to begin with my parents, actually I'd love if they just stood up. Mom and Dad, come on. My mom, Pauline, and my dad, Hector, and basically, you know, they provided me with a great upbringing, and they've always been there for me. And I just feel really lucky to have them both here this evening. I know it's rare. I think back to Mark Cassie's speech a few years ago where he had wished his father was there, and it was very emotional for him. So I realize how lucky I am to have them here tonight. I would like to point out that they've basically bred and raised 2 Hall of Famers now, as of right now. So my brother getting in 214. So that's pretty good accomplishment for them as breeding stock. Next, my wife Heather. You're so beautiful. I think I might have married up. Anyhow, oh, somebody found that funny. She basically quarterbacked the family and the business during the busy and hectic times in our lives. She's the main reason why we have 3 amazing children, Jennifer, Nicole, and Evan. She held the fort so many times when I was out working, and I love you deeply. Next, my presenter, Dave Briggs, the best writer in the industry. Dave was recently inducted into the U.S. Hall of Fame, and I was glad to be there for that. Dave is responsible for bringing me into harness racing, and I believe my images were enhanced when they appeared in stories written by Dave. We covered some great events together. We covered many legends of the sport, 2-legged variety, 4-legged variety. And every time somebody would see us coming down in Kentucky or the Meadowlands or somewhere, they'd say, "Oh, here comes the 2 Daves." And one of the things that's really extra special about Dave, he added value to all the memories of covering racing by every event we went to cover, he'd always create an extra excursion, and such as a concert or go to comedy club, you know, or in New York. We saw the house band for Motown one time, you know, a rock concert on the New Jersey shore, baseball game in Philadelphia. And that little break from the work on every trip, there's a lot of really good memories that kind of just enhanced each assignment. And I thank you for that, Dave. Canadian sportsman, Sportswood Printing, owner Gary Forrester, he can't be here tonight. I believe he's in Hawaii. And he provided, the Sportsman magazine basically provided us with the budgets and the resources to extend beyond normal coverage of the sport of harness racing. The design, layout, and quality of the Canadian Sportsman magazine was second to none. The frequent large photo spreads showcased my work, and I believe I wouldn't be here without that. The Sportsman team is like family to me. The magazine ceased to exist in 2013, but you can still receive great service and quality work from the parent company, Sportswood Printing, if you are ever looking for something to print. Next, the CTHS. Canadian Thoroughbred Horse Society has been huge for me. The annual Breeders' Awards project put me on the map in thoroughbred racing. Photographing the yearling sale each year helps me keep my head above water these days as well. It's nice. I have always had a soft spot for the breeders. Without the breeders, in my mind, we wouldn't have a true industry. Other notable clients over the years, Woodbine provided me with a base for my equine business for 1.5 decades. Tara Hills, I have taken so many images at Tara Hills, I believe we could do about 3 or 4 coffee table books. Canadian Thoroughbred Magazine. Interesting thing about Canadian Thoroughbred Magazine is that I have done work for them my entire career. They are the only client I have that I've had all along, and I appreciate that. It's probably going to be impossible for me to, being dual breed, to mention every organization or individual that has helped me get here. But I'm going to attempt to do a little bit of naming, but I apologize if I don't mention them all. Harness Racing Update, the powerhouse of harness racing, working currently for them and love working for them. Trot Magazine, Winfields, Adina, Horse Racing Alberta, Standardbred Canada, ORC, Glengate Farms, Sealster Farms, Curramore Farm, which is my home farm, I consider, Colebrook, Gardner, Sampson. It just goes on and on. People, there's many people who have had really positive influence on me. A huge list, again, it's endless. Kelly Spencer, Wally Wood, Marco Chiesa, Gary Loschke, Frank DiGiulio, Bridget Bim, Grace Polsky, Van McDonald, Doug Nash, David Reed, Dave Whitford, Bernard McCormick, Simon Cassidy, Dermot Carty, Wendy Hugavine, David and Susan Wilmot, Jim Ormiston, Bob Anderson. I've just had so much support, and so many of you are here tonight, and some of them are not with us anymore. Before I wrap things up, I just wanted to also mention about the grooms and caretakers in the business. I know how much, I really appreciate them. They work extremely hard and always have their horses looking great when I arrive to take images. In ending, I just wanted to mention that I feel it is important to preserve the history of our sport. By supporting the Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame, it preserves our past and hopefully encourages others to carve out the future. To Linda Rainey and staff that have created this terrific event, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And one last thing, I just wanted to say, it's all about the light. That's it.
This inductee was Canadian champion 3-year-old in 2015 on the strength of a rousing win in the Queen's Plate. As an older horse, he won twice at the highest level. Also had the distinction of racing in the world's richest event, the $12 million Pegasus World Cup, where only Horse of the Year Arrogant was in front of him. The Canadian Horse Racing Hall of Fame is proud to induct Shaman Ghost.
Owned and bred by Frank Stronach's Adina Springs, Shaman Ghost, a late May 2012 foal, has a pedigree brimming with champions. His sire Ghost Zapper and grandsire Awesome Again both won the Breeders' Cup Classic. On the distaff side, Damn Get Back Time was by Breeders' Cup juvenile champion Gilded Time. Winless in his 2 juvenile starts, Shaman Ghost broke his maiden the following season at Gulfstream in his 4th career start. Before the year was over, he was named the Sovereign Award winner as Canada's champion 3-year-old following wins in the Marine Stakes and Queen's Plate, and a second to the Prince of Wales before an ankle injury ended his season.
Shaman Ghost chasing Danish Dynaformer. Danish Dynaformer, Shaman Ghost, and Shaman Ghost takes the Queen's Plate a length.
The 2016 campaign, supervised by trainer Jimmy Jerkins, would establish Shaman Ghost as one of the best on the continent, winning the Woodward at Saratoga, Brooklyn Invitational at Belmont, and finishing third in the Clark Handicap at Churchill Downs.
Racing!
In 2017, he won the Santa Anita Handicap and Pimlico Special. He finished second to Arrowgate and ahead of California Chrome in the world's richest race, the $12 million Pegasus World Cup at Gulfstream, earning $1.75 million. He concluded his race career with earnings of $3.8 million. Shaman Ghost was retired for the 2018 breeding season to stand at Love Acres, California.
And making the presentation will be Dan Loisel, and accepting will be Shaman Ghost owner and breeder, Mr. Frank Stronach.
Don't run away, Dan. We need you up here. We need a good announcer up here. Well, doesn't matter what you do, you know, without luck, you won't be successful. So no matter how smart you are, but to be lucky, it's very helpful. And I've been very lucky in many, many, many ways. And Andy deserves some credit for this horse, for Shaman Ghost. He picked the broodmare, so that was very helpful. And it's always nice to be amongst people which love horses. Today we have also the standard breds here and thoroughbreds, so it's nice to exchange some ideas. And a quick story, this wife said to her husband, look, you're behaving too much like a horse lately, you know. When the meal comes, you start to stomp and to snort, and you want to eat oatmeal all the time. You better see a psychiatrist. I can't handle that anymore. So the guy walks to the psychiatrist and said, look, my wife said I behave too much like a horse, and can you help me to get back to normal? So the psychiatrist said, well, this is a very expensive proposition. You know, it might be very expensive. So the guy says, well, money is no problem. I just won the Kentucky Derby last week. So anyway, it's great to be amongst people which love horses, and good luck to everyone. Thank you.
Congratulations again.